Morning, Boker Tov, Chodesh Tov. We're on Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph, and the middle of the sugya that's called Bala Shor Noki. The pasuk Pshat, it says that if the shor killed, so Kol Yisrael Shor Lo Yechel Es B'Saro Bala Shor Noki, that the shor is chayav skil even for the first offense that it killed a human being, and Lo Yechel Es B'Saro, which we have the sugya that what's necessary to say once chayav skil. The more went into that to tell you kedushin, and then it says Bala Shor Noki. Pasuk Pshat means that you don't do anything to the owner. In contrast, Mshana Kachum, it also shown that it already had gored, it's already a muad. So then, Gamba love you must. And Kofu Yushas love really is Chayv Misa, but there's a pidyon that it can pay. Pashup Pshat, that the Bala Shonaki, that it says by the Tam, is to say there's not Chayv Kof. Why I said drushes about this, it wasn't so simple. We had already two drushes. This is going to be the third drush of the Gemara now, just the Chazal over the two drushes. One was Bala Shonaki, that Nakim in the Chazal. Pashup Pshat in the word Naki means potter. Damanaki, it means the one who's really potter. So Damash, so sorry, so Bala Shonaki means that he's potter. He has some kind of exemption, like we said from Kofar. But the more said a fancy drasha, that Bala Shonaki means Nakim in the Chasif. He was cleaned out, like you say in English also. Yeah. And there was the Chiddush that it's Asabano. The more one said from other place that's Asabano because it says Lo Yachel Es is already enough to say that it's not. And the one said the Mayoro, that even the things that are not edible, like the skin, other parts of the animal, the hide. So also, and that was a question if you have Pesor or not. That was the question, the Darshan S. I wasn't there yesterday, but just to throw out a small aura that we had during learning, that it says the Lagadata for the beginning of the day, that it says Shimon Amsoni Darshan all the S. And I just counted, I didn't count. I looked at the computer how many S there are until Esther Shamal Hatira. So 2,294. Wow. So he had 2,294 drushes till he came to this one, 2,295. He said it's all wrong. Wow. So the thing that I also wanted to point out was that it says Kishem Shikibal. So they said they're wrong. He said they're all wrong. Talmidim said what's going to be with all the drushes that you're saying that you're attracting from. So the Kash is, it's true, you have to knock down, you have to back up, but what's going to be? Everything's in the Geniza. So he meant to say, I'll get schar for that also. But we would have expected the words to say, Kishem Shikibalti schar la prisha, just like I'm getting schar now for retracting, I'll get schar for the drushes that I made. He knows a mistake. Because I meant well. I tried. That's what everyone understands the Gemara saying. There's a kasha that doesn't say that. It says Kishem Shikibalti schar la prisha, Kam Kibalti schar la prisha. So it's the opposite. He shouldn't. I mean, the kasha was, so what's going to be with all the drushes you made a mistake? Right. So we should say, I'll get schar for that also. So then the word should have been the same way I'm going to get schar for saying that it's wrong. I'll get schar also for learning it when I thought that it was right. But it doesn't say that. It says the same way that I get schar for darshaning it, I get schar for retracting also. Before that was Pashut. That was Pashut to get schar for retracting. What's it supposed to do? Continue saying that it's not saying. So that's all around the Lashon Gemara. The Pashut should have been the opposite.
That is tremendous though for someone to spend his whole life and have all these talmidim and learning, and then one was wrong. He couldn't find even a kum way to.
Right. And the Rav asked that if you have 200, say you can't say with a kasha. I don't know. You can say, why don't you say I don't know? There's one that I don't know. I figured out one day. I don't know. But no, if you thought that was a kasha that you can't answer, and therefore my whole yisod is
this is and show a cup on that's much.
Yeah.
That's
it's supposed to. There can't be that there should be any.
They say if I said something nice, if they saw how holy his Rebbe was, then he was able to say, "It's Hashem Lekechtil, Rabbi Tamil Chon." The Talmud Chacham was able to give back to him.
That's right. That's what he said. Rabbi Kiva said because of what he's doing. That's how we have to.
But it's interesting because in the Gemara Smuchach that Rabbi Shimon Amsoni didn't agree to Rabbi Kiva. Because who's the most looking for Mandam that doesn't darshan S? Who's the Mandam that does not darshan S? Shimon Amsoni, the big S rabbi, the one who darshaned all the S, and then he said it's all wrong, and he becomes the Mandam that doesn't hold of it. And Rabbi Kiva said, "I have a pshat for you," but Shimon Amsoni didn't accept it.
He held it. Shimon Amsoni held it with kasha. It's not a godless not darshan. Rabbi Kiva saw the godless of Shimon Amsoni as so he was Shimon Amsoni was very humble. After he saw how humble he was, then he says he could be marvelous.
He said, so Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon Soni lived at the same time.
Or Akiva was later.
Right.
And I mean, it may be Shimon Soni, but no, but if the way you're learning is once Rabbi Akiva said the drasha, so there is no such mandiyam anymore. That does not darshan this. Rabbi Shimon Soni darshan this,
Right.
and then he had a kashi, he retracted. Then Rabbi Akiva revived him again. So who's the mandiyam that says you're not darshan this? There's no such mandiyam. But the Gemara is bringing this to say there's a mandiyam.
But between Rabbi Shimon Soni and Rabbi Akiva,
There was a mistake. There was a mistake at that
Rabbi
time.
Akiva was in the same generation.
I don't know, even if it was later, but he's saying that Shimon Soni, if we heard Rabbi Akiva, he would have agreed to him.
Maybe.
So you have no mandiyam that says you don't darshan this.
Why have
It was a mistake. Temporary.
why maybe Shimon was so humble he didn't agree that Rabbi Akiva.
Whatever, no, that's all based on this shot. That the reason why he sort of that now we saw it. But the mice is maybe so. Someone told me, told me that when you have an S and you be marble something, does it have to be mamish the same, or it could be secondary? It could be lower. So maybe if you dash an S, it has to be mamish the same. Then nobody's going to say that that it's the same as Hashem.
Right.
So therefore, he couldn't accept the drasha. Maybe Rabbi Akiva holds that it doesn't have to be mamish the same. It could be less, but it's similar.
Right.
So also, Rabbi Yom told me also that this is the mission of Mora Bava, Kamora Shemaim. It's based on this. Hashem will look at Chativa. Mamish just think that. How do you learn it Mora Bava, Kamora Shemaim? Because the source that you learn Mora Talmid Chacham is from the pasuk that says that's Hashem will look at Chativa. So that's the source to say Mora Bava, Kamora Shemaim. And it doesn't mean exactly Mamish the same, but it means one more point. That Yiras Hashem, is it Yiras HaOnesh or Yiras HaRomamus?
2 levels.
2 levels. But this pasuk, if you think what the Gemara Dash is, Hashem al Kachatira, the Rabbis Tamid Chachamim, it's surely not Yiras HaOnesh from the Talmud Chacham. It's Yiras HaRomamus of the Talmud Chacham. You see how exalted he is. So that's Hashem al Kachatira, that you're supposed to have Yiras HaRomamus of Hashem. And similarly of the Talmud Chacham. But Yiras HaOnesh, nothing to do with Talmud Chacham. Talmud Chacham doesn't. That's not the Rabbis Tamid Chachamim. Okay, we're on Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph, and the next one, another drasha about Baal Hashonaki, Rabbi Yosef Glili.
But then the similar story to Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach when he for his job for the yeshiva that he was going to the university whatever, so they gave him a test. He had to.
He gave a shear.
He gave a shear. In the middle of the shear, he closes the Gemara and he says, "I was wrong." And he walks on and he closes the Gemara and he says, "That's it. My whole share is shlugged up. It's not right." And he goes home. And his wife asks him how he did. He says, "Not good." And he says, "So I didn't get the job. Hashem didn't want me to have a job." And they knock on the door and they say, "We want you to be a Rosh Yeshiva." Like, why? They said, "That's what a Rosh Yeshiva is." And
But you can say that you're wrong.
if you say that you're wrong, then you're the one.
The word always wants to up his head. Word always wants to look his head around between it. Wrong. The board always wants to be wrong. They always want to tell the wrong what to do.
So now we're going to a third drasha. We're on Beis Amud Aleph, 1, 2, 3, fifth line. And we're looking for drashas about Hashonaki. But basically, the Armanaki with Mevelados. Mevelados means that it says in the pasuk when a shore gores a woman. No. When a man hits a woman, the pasuk made the question: Who did he intend to hit her? That's why Hashem. He was fighting with somebody else, and by mistake he hit her, and she miscarried. So there's a payment called Mevelados. That the man who was mazik has to pay for the Mevelados. Someone talks about a different place if it was intentional to hit the woman or not. The pasuk is talking about that he was hitting the friend, and by mistake the woman got hurt. So the question is, does a shore also pay Mevelados? If a shore. So why would you say not? It seems that it's not pasha that made Mevelados. It's a chiddush to pay. You don't look at it like a regular nezek. That's maybe has to be explained. Why is it not a regular nezek? Like anytime you hurt somebody's hand, so you have to assess how much is the person worth with the hand and the other.
Well, it didn't come into the world yet.
But what's the difference? But how much is the person worth? If you would have sold the same way when the shore damages somebody's foot. So how do you assess how much the damage is? You see in the slave market how much it would have been worth with a good foot and with a bad foot. So now a woman who would have been sold for as maidservant, how much would she have been worth with when she's pregnant and when she's not? So I'm not sure why it's not pasha and nezek, but it's not. For some reason, it's not a pasha and nezek. It's a chiddush that is a payment of Dmei Vlados. And here's coming to say that the shore is potter from Dmei Vlados. That if a shore, it's not called Nezek. For some reason, it's not called Nezek.
Maybe he's a more. Then he will the Baal is tied. So they have to cover. That's his kapara.
There's no misa over here. There's no kofar. There's the Dmei Vlados.
So the blood was killed.
The Bnei Vlados means that it's only a fetus.
Uh-oh.
That's what that's what the point is.
It's not
Yeah,
just-
so that it was a
just
fetus.
really about
So there's no kofar over here.
Awesome.
And the question is, the pasuk says that when a human hits a woman and the fetus is killed, so there's a payment of Dmei Vlados. And here, we're coming to say that the pasuk says, Baal Hashanah, he's coming to say, Baal Hashanah is potter from what? The Shor is potter. The Baal Hashanah is potter from Dmei Vlados. That there's no payment when the shore is mazik a woman, and there was no nezik to the woman herself, but the nezik was to the fetus, so there's no payment of mevaladis. And now the pasuk happens to talk about a tam. That's what the whole pasuk is talking about. The pasuk says that a tam, the first time, so it says that the first 3 times, so it says that sakoli shakel shore, which is talking about that he killed the person, and Baal Hashanah is coming to talk about not that the person was killed. It's coming to tell you, it's a drash, in the drash world, not in the pshat world. In the drash world, is coming to say that there's a ptur for a tam about something we're not talking about. We're talking about if there would be a flood, it wouldn't have been that the person was killed, but that the fetus was killed. So the shor doesn't pay. Chiddush that the shor tam does not pay the Mevlados.
Is this a case of physical touch?
Meaning,
Well, let's say the shark is running at her and then she panics and
no, she just got scared. That probably, probably from the actual right. Right. And the kasha is going to be that we had many times that not only a tam doesn't pay the Mevlados, a muad also doesn't pay the Mevlados. So then it wouldn't make sense to say in Russia that a tam doesn't pay the Mevlados. Because even a muad doesn't pay the Mevlados. That's what Bakiva's kasha there basically. The pasuk over there where it talks about, let's see if I can the pasuk on the screen here. וכי ינסו אנשים ונקפו אישה רב ויעשו ילדה ולא יעשון אנוש יענש כאשר יש עליו בעל לאישה ונשאם בפניהם. Pasuk in Parshas Mishpatim, men are fighting, and they pushed a pregnant woman, and she had a miscarriage, and there was no tragedy, done to the woman. It means the woman didn't die, just the fetus died. So he should be punished to say that as much as the husband is going to place upon him, and he should pay in court. So that means that he pays for the value of the fetus, how much the woman would have been worth to sell as a pregnant woman, and now she's not pregnant. So the pasuk says that the first word, and the Gemara says, Rabbi Kiva says that's enough to tell you that there's no payment for Dmei Vlados when a shore does it, only when a person does it. So you don't need a pasuk to say that a tam is pater. Any shore is pater, which means even a muad. That's what the Gemara is saying. That's what the Gemara's kasha seems to be. Period. That the pasuk already says that a shore is always part of the Mevlados, so you don't need a pasuk to say that a tam is part of the Mevlados. I've got the brisa, and now the Gemara is going to try to figure out the brisa to figure out what the answer might be. And Rabbi Kiva's kasha, and now the Gemara goes on. Shapakam Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva's had a good time. So what do you basically hold? What do you need a pasuk to say that the short tam is part of the Mevlados, even the short was part of the Mevlados? So we're going to have a couple of terutzim, and some of them are going to be we'll see as we go along. Amar Rav Ula Brei de Rav Hini. First teretz. It is necessary to have this pasuk. When you make this comparison, the pasuk contrast. The pasuk says men, so we're going to derive, but not oxen. What kind of ox are we going to derive that a man yes and an ox not? It has to be somebody who's similar. That everything's similar besides the fact that he's an ox and he's a man. We know that every man is a muad. So the shore that was being contrasted from the human is only a shore which is similar to a human, which means that is a muad. So the pasuk that says that a shore is part of the Mevlod, this is only a muad, and it's going to be counterintuitive. Everyone's going to jump already, but hatam b'chayid. If I would have learned the pasuk, I would have said that only a shore muad is pater from the Mevlodos, but a shore tam the Torah never exempted. So therefore, I had to have another pasuk to say that a tam is also pater. So Moshe is asking, What are you talking about?
Exactly.
That what?
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. That's gonna be Bava's kasha. So far the Gemara inside, it's necessary to say that the time was potter because anoshim v'lo shvorim adom anoshim. The pasuk says only men and not oxen. It's only an ox which is similar to a man, which means that it's a muad. Anoshim v'lo mashvam muadim. And over there, the pasuk says that a muad is potter from the meiv lodos. But I wouldn't think a tam b'chayim, and therefore kasavach mana b'alashan lucky that even that tam was also potter. And then Rava says what the Moshe is asking yitziva ba'ara v'giyur b'shmei shemaya. That's the Gemara's expression when it wants to say. How do you say in Yiddish? You say upside down. There's an expression for that. How do you? It's upside down.
For cat.
There's a more juicy expression in Yiddish.
That's yeshivas.
Okay.
But the words literally mean Ezrach, Ba'aretz, Ragir, Lishmei. That it means that it's not supposed to be that way. Who's supposed to be higher? It's supposed to be that that people were like in Eretz Yisrael is supposed to be that Ezrachim are supposed to be in Shmei Shemaya and guests are supposed to be lower. The ger are supposed to be lower, but this way the ger the Ezrach is on the ground and the ger is B'Shmei Shemaya. That means which is supposed to be high, which is supposed to be lower. The tam and the muad. So you're saying that the Havamina to say that muad is going to be potter and the tam is going to be chayim. How can there be such a thing? That's Rava's kasha, and Moshe is saying it in simple English. It doesn't make sense. Any Rashi at this? I didn't see it. There's Rashi on these words. No, Rashi doesn't say about the expression. That's what the expression seems to mean. So that's the one rejects it. Rejects this first evidence of Hula Breder Avidi. There's no Havamina that a muad should be potter and the tam should be chayim. Now we try next evidence. Elam Rava. Some have Rabba over here because we're going to see Rabba soon. So this might be Rabba speaking. It's true. A different reason why you have to have the pasuk to say that is potter from the meiv lodos. So far it's the same. That you would have thought that only a shore which is similar to a man is potter. So far it's the same. And the pasuk says that a shom word is potter. That's true. This now we're getting in the right direction. That if a shom word is potter from the meiv lodos, then surely a tam is potter from the meiv lodos. So that was the kasha. That was the kasha. That was the Bekiva's kasha. We know it already. So why does the pasuk over here have to say that a tam is potter? We know already that a word is potter kavachom tam. The kasvach mana balashanaki to tell you tam potter muad chayev. The pasuk says you would have thought from the pasuk alone that a muad is potter and for sure tam. So this pasuk says a tam is potter. So it's coming to say that dafka is tam is potter, and don't make the pasuk that you made. Don't make the pasuk the way you did before. That it's not a overall ptor that all shvarim are potter. Only a tam is potter. It's coming to explain that the ptor that a shor has is only when it's a tam, but a muad is really chayv to make others. This gemara right here is like a bomb to everything to what we know. We know that a shor is potter from make others, like everybody will say. And now comes out no that a shor muad is chayv to make others, even though it says Hanoshim v'lo shvarim. That's only because it's coming to be mamai a tam. And don't say Hanoshim to me the shvarim. That a shore which is a muad is not going to be higher than maybe others. So this is a mapecha. This rabbi is a mapecha to say it doesn't change the whole Yiddishkeit, but it changes this halacha that shore muad is going to be higher than maybe others, and only a tam is potter. Tais asks the kasha, what do you have to have the word Hanoshim for? At this point, if this will be true, then just say the word balashanaki and don't say Hanoshim because it's not true. It's not only Anoshim. It shows also Chayim. So that's the kasha Tais is asking. Tais deals with that. Why would you have to have the word Anoshim? But at this point, Rabbi says that Pshani Versa Galili is that a tam is potter and a muad is Chayim. Rabbi Kiva asked that a muad is also potter. The Versa Galili argues. He holds that a muad is Chayim to make bloodless. Amalei Abaye said maybe to Rabbi if the guess is Rabbi. El Meyata Gabi Boshes Nami Neimachi. Your drasha is saying that when the pasuk says. Even though it says Anoshim or it says some kind of drasha to say that it's only a person and not a ox, but there could be another pasuk that says what kind of ox? Only a tam ox is potter, but a muad is going to be chayiv. So the Gemara is going to say if that formula is true, you could have done it for other things also. The Gemara is going to say boshes. I would think seeing the pasuk shot that the Gemara doesn't mean dafka boshes. It might mean also tzar, ripoy, sheves. Taisus talks about it, but I didn't see the Taisus. But just for going to the Gemara one time, I would think that the Gemara means to ask on all these things. We know that
Potter on bushes.
that is potter. A shor is potter on everything. A shor is only chayiv nezek. There are usually 5 payments that a human being pays when he damages. Nezek, tzar, ripu, shevas, boshes. And by a shor only pays nezek. There's no payment of tzar, ripu, shevas, boshes. And the Gemara is asking, you can make this fancy drasha and come out that a shor is also going to be chayiv on tzar, ripu, shevas, boshes. And only a tam is going to be potter. Even though there's going to be a drasha to say that man and not ox. But once this pasuk comes and says that a tam is potter, so we'll say that only a tam is potter and an ox is really higher. So if your formula is true, then even though there's a ptor for an ox, another pasuk can come and say, explain that it only means a tam, but the wood will be chayiv. So you can do this formula on all kinds of things that we find that the show is potter and say that a wood is really chayiv, but only a tam is potter. That and everyone agrees that it's not true. According to your formula, yes, I'm saying maybe I'm wrong, but I'm saying boshes means also maybe nezek, tzar, ripu, all the other payments that we know that a human pays and a show doesn't. We should say the same drasha. Name we should say like this: Anashim v'losh form, adom anashim. That if we would say the word anashim, it says a men pay, and we would say that excludes even a shamuad. Ma anashim muadim, hashvam muadim, and it says that the muad is parted from all these things. And Kabbalah comment the ptiri. At that point, we would have said, if we only would have had the pasuk that says anoshim, we would have said that it only refers to man and not to any kind of an ox, even a muad. And they're all parted from the Dalad Devarim. But then after this pasuk, the Kasef Rachman Bala Shanaki to tell you that only a tam is parted, tam parted, a muad chayiv, and you come out if that would be the drash, you'd say that a short muad is also chayiv in tzar ripu shevas boshes, and it's not true. Maybe it is true. Maybe you'll say that it is true. The same way, this was a huge chiddush to us that a short pays maybe maybe he's also going to hold that a short pays sorry b'shevas boshes. If you're going to say, maybe you'll say that it's not true that it basically holds that a short muad is chayv and all these things. Yachi listening bala shanaki basically omer patum made blooders umi boshes. Then it should have said so because this brisa, which is coming to say chiddush of Bala Shanaki, what the Berse Lili holds, the only thing he said was made of He didn't say a whole bunch of things. And according to you, he should have said Boshes. Maybe he should have said also Nezik, it should have said Savi Busheves. I just put it in the whole time because I don't see the difference. But Tyson talks about it, and again, I'm not sure. But Boshes, surely the more is asking that it's not, but he also agrees that it shows not that the person is not coming to say that it's part from Boshes and say that a word is Chayv in Boshes. So therefore, Abaye rejects Rabba's pshat. So we had already 2 pshat, and both of them were rejected. The first shot was to say that it's really good. You might have thought that a muad is potter, but a tam is chayiv. That's why you have to have a pasuk to say that a tam is also potter. And the Gemara rejects that it can't be, like Moshe said. There's no sport to say that a muad should be potter and a tam is going to be chayiv. Next test was to say that but just the tam is potter and a muad is chayiv. The Gemara is asking, according to that, he should have come out not only the Meivod, she should have come out that also Moshes, that the time is put in a muad is chayiv, and that's not true because it doesn't have mashma like that. It doesn't say it. So we need a new teretz. Abai v'Rava. This is the next teretz. Here's Rava, so that's why it might be a support to those who take out the garrison before Rava. They made it Rava before. So this is a third teretz. Abai v'Rava dam v'tavayu. Anashim. Now the pasuk Taka says Anashim. So let's look at the pasuk a second, and it'll make it easier to understand. The pasuk, here we go here. Men are fighting, and they pushed a pregnant woman, and she had a miscarriage, and there was no death to the woman. The woman didn't die. Then the one who pushed her and caused it a miscarriage has to pay for the fetus. Why does it say v'lo yason? What's the difference if there was a son or not? What if she did die? What if the woman died? You don't pay for the fetus? No. That's called kamma b'drabmine. This is the source. You say kamma b'drabmine because the pasuk only says that you pay for the vlad, which is considered a monetary payment, only if there was no damage. The woman didn't die. But if the woman would have died, so then there's not going to be a payment for the vladas. Okay, that's the din of kamma b'drabmine. Now the Gemara says, you know why he says anashim? Not because the shore is parted from the vladas. And that doesn't apply to a shore. If a shore would have done it, even if there would have been a son, even if the shore killed the woman, that wouldn't be a reason why you should not pay for the vlad. The whole thing is going to be considered. There's no kamma b'rabbi on the shore. The shore has to pay for all the damage.
You're going to kill the shore.
You'll kill the shore,
So,
but do you have to pay for the may v'lodos?
because you can't, once you kill him, and you get, it's like, it's the same thing with the person. Why should the shore?
No, kamma b'rabbi means if you kill a person, it's capital punishment. You're not going to
Then
also.
you're not going to make him pay.
But by ox, you don't have that kind of svara. Just because the ox gets killed is the reason why you shouldn't pay for the monetary payments. Kamma b'rabbi means.
I'm saying, but if it's the same way that works by the man, why shouldn't it work like
I
that
think
for the
because
oxen?
kamma b'rabbi is only as far when you kill a human, when you capital punishment, you kill him, you kill. So he's chayiv misa. So then we're not going to also make him pay for the monetary payment that he incurred upon himself when he was doing it. But there's no such thing by an ox. There's no kamma b'rabbi on an ox. If an ox probably the case.
No, it's the owner of the ox is losing the shore, so then that's also then they're not
And the owner of the husband lost the wife and children.
and child.
The case that he should lose his shore and his money.
And his money.
I think that's what the Gemara is going to say. Let's see how it goes. It says, what was Kiva's kasha? That you don't need a pasuk to say that Thomas partook in the make blood because even Amur's partook in the make blood. Now what does he say? Anashim einosan v'isha yanshu yeshasan v'isha lo yanshu. The pasuk that talks about this thing about chayv make blood, it says not if the woman didn't die, then you have to pay for the fetus. But if the woman did die, then there's no payment. That's called kamma b'rabbi. On that, the pasuk didn't want to talk about a shore. For those shvorim, the person only spoke about humans, not about a shore, because why? Because even if the woman did die, also there'd be a payment of the make blood. This means that's how you could have learned the pasuk. You could have said, I wouldn't have. You're saying that from the pasuk of Anashim alone, you see there's no payment of the make blood. Who says? Maybe the pasuk didn't talk about a shore because it couldn't say the din of kamma b'rabbi because it wouldn't have been true. The din of kamma b'rabbi wouldn't be true. The shore has to pay the may blood, and he has to pay the may blood even if the woman died. And therefore, now you need a pasuk to say to say that he doesn't pay the may blood. It's kasher b'chmana. Where does it go? And therefore, how the kasher b'chmana ba'ala shanaki the potter. This was a Bain Rabba's pshat. I think, I'm not sure, I'll try to work it out, that Amud is really chayiv in Mevlodos. The same idea that we tried to say before, that Amud is really chayiv in Mevlodos. But before it was an offensive drasha to say that if it says Anashim, and now we're coming to be Megala, that Anashim doesn't mean that. And then the Gemara said it shouldn't be, if you use that formula, then by Boshas also, it should have come out that the Shor Amud is chayiv in Boshas, and it's not true. But now the Gemara has a different way, coming to the same maskana, that Amud is chayiv in the Mevlodos. Because the person, because your kasha was that it says Anashim and it means that the shore is not chayv b'nei doesn't mean that. It means that Anashim has a tour of kamli b'drabine and the shore doesn't have a tour of kamli b'drabine. That's why I didn't talk about ox, but the ox really is chayv in b'nei. And here the pasuk just says that a time is part of b'nei. So it comes out this Chiddush is still banging on the door that even though we always know that a shore is part of b'nei, so basically it doesn't hold like that. The basically holds that a shore is chayv, Amud is chayv b'nei, and only the time is part of. Now Kasha on this also. Maske Flo Rabada Baraba. He's attacking this pshat. Atu Bas and Talian milk. Now this we'll say learn Rashi's pshat over here. So Rashi is not going to change the kasha too much. Rashi is going to explain that Rabada Baraba has a kasha and he's going to say his own pshat, but it's not really so much different than the Rabban Rabba's pshat. This is going to be a technicality in the din of Kamle B'Rav Mina. So let's talk about Kamle B'Rav Mina and then we'll see it in the Gemara. Kamle B'Rav Mina, what does it mean? That when there's a capital punishment, it takes away it nullifies the monetary punishment. Somebody killed somebody, shot an arrow, and besides killing him, a bullet. Besides killing him, also the clothing was torn, got a hole in his suit. So they're going to kill the man, the murderer, and then the Yorshim come and say, "You also the suit. You know, there's also $1,000 suit." So Kamle B'Rav Mina says that you don't pay for the suit since the tzech is going to get killed. So. Okay. Yeah. So the question is, does it only apply if you actually kill the Rotseach? How about if there's some technicality why the Rotseach is not Chayiv Misa? You're not going to actually kill him. Is it also up to Kamle B'Rav Mina? You might say only if they're going to actually kill him, capital punishment to kill him. So then you're not going to also demand a monetary payment. But what if there's some technicality why the mice is not going to get killed? So then you say, no, it's a pay for monetary payment. He says, no, really it's a chiv misa. It's a chiv misa. So the truth is that we hold like that. We hold like Chizkiah. Chizkiah says this Gosha, that even if Lamaisi, you're not going to kill the murderer for some reason, it was the shogeg. Let's say it's the shogeg. That's going to be the quotation. Chayv misa shogeg peturim. Even if it was a shogeg in the chayv misa, he did something else for shogeg that b'meza would have been chayv misa. Right now, I did it for shogeg. So you're not going to kill him. Since b'meza would have been chayv misa, so there's no monetary payment. Even if Lamaisa he's not going to get killed because only was a shogeg. That's Chizkiah, and we pass him like that. But to hear the Gemara seems Rashi learns the Gemara saying now that he doesn't hold this. So Bava is not going to hold like that. He's going to hold that you only kill him, you only put it from the monetary payment if actually there's going to be a capital punishment. But so he's going to say the same thing over again, but he's just going to change the words a little bit. Instead of saying that it depends if the woman dies or not, because the woman is the victim. If the woman, the way we said the nusach so far, it didn't make a difference if you're going to actually kill the person who pushed her. This guy over here, you have the v'nog fu and you have the isha hara. And one of them pushed the woman, and she didn't die. She didn't die. So the Gemara until now was stressing that she died. She didn't die. If she died, then there's no payment. When we were explaining the Torah of kamma b'drabbi, we said it all depends if the woman died. If the woman died, then there's no monetary payment. Why? Because the woman died, and there should be a capital punishment on the one who did it. But what if there would be no actual capital punishment? This drasha, the way we express it, drasha says if the woman died, there's no monetary payment, even if you're not going to kill the murderer. And that's what Bava is going to say a little different. He's going to say the same thing over again, but he's going to say it doesn't depend if the woman died or not. That's not enough. It could be the woman's going to die. There's still going to be a monetary payment. It's only if we're actually going to kill the murderer, then there's going to be a p'tor of kamma b'drabbi. So as far as our issue about the shor paying, when the pasuk says anashim and not shvarim, what's it coming to say? Is it coming to say that a shor is p'tor from Dmei V'lodos? We're saying no, not necessarily. The shor is also chayv Dmei V'lodos, but there's no p'tor of kamma b'drabbi. But when we explain kamma b'drabbi, we can explain it as saying everything depends if the woman died. If she died, there's kamma b'drabbi, and that applies to a human, doesn't apply to a shor. And there's another way to express it, that it's only going to be in a case where the murderer is going to be chayiv misa, and then there's a p'tor of kamma b'drabbi, and that only applies to a person and not to a shor, and that's why the pasuk didn't talk about a shor. But to make lodas, maybe the shor does have to pay. So all this is going to be in the Gemara's Kasha and Teretz now, and it's not going to change much. It's only going to be a difference. How you learn kamma b'drabbi. But both of them are saying the same thing, that maybe the pasuk doesn't say shor because it wants to say a case of kamma b'drabbi, but a shor would be chayiv in the Dmei V'lodos, and that it says that a shor tam is part of the Dmei V'lodos. So if you see that inside, the issue of kamma b'drabbi depends if the woman died. The ason means the tragedy, the catastrophe that the woman died. So is everything dependent on that? Is it dependent on if the woman dies or not? No. The kavanah tali milsa. It's only if the man intended to kill her. But if he intended to kill his friend, to hit his friend, and he missed and he killed her and he killed her by mistake, there wouldn't be a p'tor of kamma b'drabbi because he's not chayiv misa. So therefore, Bava is going to amend the teres, but it's going to be pretty similar, just going to be a different way of expressing kamma b'drabbi. So we'll put Bava also as a special mandama, but he's not really saying different. So we have all these other twists, and we had already this four altogether. We had Avidi, which we rejected. We had Rabba rejected. Abai Rabba also has rejected a little bit, and Avad Rabba is going to say what he thinks. And it comes out that he doesn't hold of Hiskeh. He doesn't hold that it's famous din that kamma chayim misa shogin b'turim. So Avad Rabba Nashim kineskav nuzelazeh apagav sheishason beisha yeyanshu. By men, that's when we say that when they intended to kill each other, even if the woman died, they are punished and they have to pay. But not only lo yason, I'm sorry, and they didn't target the woman, so then they have to pay for the monetary payment. But lo yason even Yeshasam. But if they were not miskaven, also they're going to pay. The only case where he says kamma b'rabminei is kiniskaven lishatzma. If they would have aimed to kill the woman, and they did kill the woman, so then they're put from the monetary payment. Well, on that's called kamma b'rabminei with a different twist. Not the kamma b'rabminei that the woman died, kamma b'rabminei the woman died, and also they targeted her. A small prat in kamma b'rabminei. Is it clear? Is it clear this difference? What?
It's a big difference.
It's a big difference, right? Well, it comes out that according to Bava, there's no cloud of kamma b'rabminei only if the person actually would be chayiv misa. It happens by there are many mishnayos about kamma b'rabminei, and we say that even if it's b'shogeg, chayiv misa shogeg, even if it's b'shogeg, also there's no payment of monetary. And he would argue on that. He would say only if the actually is going to be a chayiv misa. But it doesn't change the lumdus over here to say that it only applies that the pasuk only talks about a human and not a shor for this reason, but otherwise the shor also would have been chayiv. The chiyuv of the Mevlod says on a shor also. Just the p'tor of kamma b'rabminei doesn't apply to him. So it's only a different way how to express kamma b'rabminei. And therefore, that the ox, even if it wanted to kill the woman, also there's a monetary payment, and it comes out, and that's what you would, and that's why it doesn't talk about a shor, but a shor really is chayiv in the Mevlodos. Because Rahman Bala Shanaki the Ptiri. And that's why the pasuk had to say that a short time is potter. So it comes out according to all these Gemaras, the Gemara is saying that according to Yosef Lili, a shor is really a shor muad is really chayiv to make blodos. Not like it says in many Mishnayos, and that's acceptable. We've said it many times already. But it comes out that according to this, Amud Gemara, Yosef Lili argues, and he holds that a shor muad does pay to make blodos. The thing also of Chagai made the Roma. I know what it means. If Chagai came from the south. Sometimes they say that Yisha was in the north and Yerushalayim was like the Dorom, and there were not so many people over there. They call it the Dorom. Now they were saying Yerushalayim was in Yerushalayim over there. It wasn't Yerushalayim. That's called Dorom.
As opposed to Usha, Shvara,
and that's called Debzenish Dorom.
That's what some say. Others say that there was a Yishuv also.
Now you say Dorom, you mean
How
you mean Dorom, you mean all the way south. Why didn't they settle in Yerushalayim? Because probably it was a korban. Probably it was korban at the time.
After the Churban Yerushalayim, they still stayed in all the cities over there. Beitar, Lod, Yavne, Bnei Brak, Rochai, all Americas. But after Bar Kochba and the Riyanas, so then you only find the issue of the Galil Tachtontas.
You're in the right place.
Maybe you didn't over here get what they didn't have here.
Thank Yosef Chakim of the Rome. Also, he came and he brought a brisa in his hand. Where did he come from? He came from Dorom, and he had a brisa. That he had a brisa like about the Barava. That the way you say "Come Levi Rabbi" is if there's niskaven, and this is Rabbi Seglili. They're all calling it Rabbi Seglili, and it comes out that Rabbi Seglili has the p'torpet meivlados of a tam, and a muad would be chayiv in the meivlados. Okay, and that was shot number 3. The first one again was to say that Balash is cleaned out, and his Isra not only on the meat but even on the ore. And there was another shot of Baal Shanaki Kamakatsi Kofer, which is the Pashto on the Pasuk. And it basically now says that there's a P'tor of Mevlodas for a Tam, and a Mur is Chayiv Mevlodas. We don't like that because we hold that even a Mur is part of Mevlodas. So you don't need this Pasuk to say that a Tam is part of Mevlodas. And now there's going to be the fourth rush also to say Baal Shanaki, and that's the bottom of the page. Rabbi Kiva himself. Rabbi Kiva till now was attacking anybody that set up shot. He said, doesn't make sense. And now he's going to say what he says does make sense. Okay, this is going to be now. Oh, this is Rabbi Kiva now. Yeah, Rabbi Kiva. We had Rabbi Seglili. Yeah, that's right. We had Rabbi Leslie yesterday. Who was the first one on the Amud Aleph? That was the Brisa without a name. Shimon explained the drasha, right? He explained the drasha. Bala Shanaki. Not cleaned out. So he had 3 pshat about one pshat about being cleaned out is that is 5 things also about now, and then 3 pshat of exemptions, either kofer that Thomas Potter from kofer, of course Hatzi kofer, and Thomas Potter from the Mevelodos, Probably it means Chatzit made blood, so it doesn't pay that Chatziyiga, maybe. And Rabbi Kiva now is going to say a fourth shot, a third shot in an exemption. Not Kiva that when a shore kills an Eved, so the pasuk says he pays Shloshim Shalevet. If a human being, a free man, so then it's going to be Kofer. And Kofer is going to be the main Nizik, we hope. And but then it says, but if he kills an Eved or Omar, so then he pays Shloshim Shkalim. It's a standard price, no matter if the Eved is worth more or less. You don't go to the market value, you go according to the Shloshim Shkalim. Now it says that only a Mu'ad in the Tam doesn't pay Shloshim Shkalim. I imagine that if it would have paid Shloshim Shkalim, it would have been half of that, it would have been 15. The Tam would have paid 15, half of the 30. But it comes to say, no, there's no payment at all. There's no payment of Shloshim Shkalim at all. Just before we go further, when you weren't here, Pinchas, I didn't. That's what I'm saying over about Mei Vladas. I just came to mind. Why is Mei Vladas not a regular nezek? Why is it a chiddush that you paid Mei Vladas? A shor doesn't pay Mei Vladas. How much was how much nezek? If the hand would have gotten hurt or the foot, so you evaluate how much it would have been worth on the market and not on the market. So Mei Vladas is the same thing. How much the woman would have been worth when she's pregnant? How much is not pregnant? Why is it not regular nezek? It's like taken out of the parsha of nezek. And no, the shor doesn't pay the Mei Vladas. Or, yeah. While I was explaining it, I got stuck. Why is it not a regular nezek? Chiddush, it's not called nezek.
Yeah, those are the two going to say that's nezek. Sure, you so low, Valar, sure, no standards with them. Don't even say Mei Vladas.
And the pasha might be whatever he decides. Like,
Which you
Yeah, but it doesn't say it as hezek. Why?
It's not a person yet.
It's not the person, the mother,
Right, so you wouldn't-
the maid
But
servant.
she doesn't own them.
That's not to do with ownership. How much is no? The one who, when you talk about
How does it?
a person, also when he gets something wrong with his foot, someone damages his foot. It's not a question of owning the foot. It's how much I was devalued because of that. Now he's not on the market; he's not a slave. But the nezik is evaluated by how much he would have been sold as a slave. And you go to the market, that's how much is a slave worth with a good foot and with a limp foot. So now you go to the slave market with a woman, and she would have been a maid servant that's pregnant, which is worth more money, maybe because now you'll get an eved. So
One
one.
maybe to do with the mission. The mission says, "In came Mishisha, let us mission achas." So the etzem.
So Pinchas is saying that in the slave market it could be that she's worth less. When she's pregnant, it could be that she's worth less.
No,
Because
but
they're afraid
Yes,
she might die in labor.
That's not.
That depends on the slave market. He's saying that if on the slave market
They do pay something, right?
the machlokas over there how you assess it, You have to go really it's cash on the slave market. Go to the slave market and see if it's worth more or less. A pregnant slave may.
Tell the woman she's worth less, but someone might do it because it's an investment to something else.
No, so
But
yeah,
that's already not considered that you're paying her.
yeah, but how much is on the slave market?
I think that's gonna be the question. Something that she really is not worth more. So
But okay, that answers the question already. If you say she's not really worth more,
what does she pay?
kasher shesalav balaisha.
No, but what does it say within the Mishnah? It says that really she
Uh-huh.
does mishabachas, but shaman. So what's the machalikas over there?
Okay, what's the answer over there? You show me
What's the answer?
if there was no okay, I don't know. Okay. Maybe we'll get there to the answer. That's not regular nezek because on the slave market, maybe she's not worth more. Maybe there's a sakana involved that she might not make it. Okay, so now up to the fourth area. So that a time, the person is coming to say that a time doesn't pay shloshim shalom. Nice teretz. Very similar to the teretz of Kofar. Very similar. That's what the was going to deal now. Before yesterday's daf, Rebbe Lezer said, who was Rebbe Lezer? Rebbe Lezer said Noki Mechatzi Kofar. And which is a nice teretz, which is a Pashut Pshat even. And here Rabbi Kiva says no, not Chatzi Kofar. He talks about Shloshim Shalom. The free man Kofar and the slave Shloshim. And Rabbi Lezer said the Pasuk is coming to say that a Tam doesn't pay Chatzi Kofar. And here Rabbi Lezer Kiva is saying very similar. Rabbi Kiva says that the Tam it's coming to say the Tam doesn't pay Chatzi or Shloshim Shalom. But before yesterday, when Rabbi Lezer said it, so then Rabbi Kiva jumped up. What do you mean part of Mechatzi Kofar? Of course, part of Mechatzi Kofar. There's nothing to get from because it pays Megufo. And since you're going to kill the shore, there is no Megufo. So of course you don't pay Kofar. And here, Rabbi Kiva, he said the Pshat Shloshim Shalevet, the exact same cash comes on him. What's the mean? You have to have a person to say you don't pay Shloshim Shalevet. You only pay Megufo. And there is no Megufo because the shore is Chayiv Misa. So you don't need a person to say part from Shloshim Shalevet. So that's what the Gemara is going to, this rest of the discussion is going to be. What did Rabbi Kiva have to have a person? Why is he happier with his own shot better than on What's the difference? Kofar or shloshim shalavet? Both have the same kasha. That if you pay migufo, there is no migufo. So of course you butter. That's the most kasha on top of the page. Whenever Rabbi Kiva l'naf shei, Rabbi Kiva should say to himself the same kasha he asked on Rabbi Leslie yesterday on the kofar. He should have asked on himself on the shloshim shalavet. He should ask, "Lo atzmo ein mishtal v'elo migufo haviyol bezin v'yishalom lach." The whole payment is only from the goof of the animal. Bring it the animal and it'll pay you. That means the animal's not here because you're going to kill the animal. It's chayiv skila. So of course there's no shloshim shalavet. Why did they only have a kasha on Rabbi Eliezer who said kofar, and he didn't have a kasha on himself who said shloshim shalavet? That's the Gemara's kasha on Rabbi Kiva. Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak k'shekadam ba'olav v'shchato. There's a case where the shore is worth something, and therefore he has to pay shloshim shalavet. What's the case? That the owner slaughtered it. When did the owner slaughter it? So we had yesterday already that from the Gemara Din, even before you actually stoned the animal, once there was Nigmar Dino, so then it's worthless. That was that pasuk that says that Lo Yechal Es B'Saro. That wasn't necessary to say. It must be coming to tell you, even if you didn't do skila, must be from the Gemara Din. Here the Gemara means even before the Gemara Din. Somebody saw it killed, so right away he saw it, before they get to best, he slaughters it right away. So there was no Gemara Din. The whole thing the Gemara said that it becomes asabana even before the skila is after the verdict, but before the verdict it doesn't become asabana. So a simple teretz. There's a case where there is meat to pay from. Thank you very much. Thank you. What was the kasha? Every shore that kills is always asabana, and there's nothing to pay from. So you don't need psukim to say that it's part from kofar, part from shlosh mishalevet. It's worthless. So we found the case that it's worth something. The case is that he slaughtered it right away before the Gemara Din, and even the chiddush of Gemara Din was only from the Gemara Din, even before the skila, but after the verdict. But before the verdict, it is mutabana. So if the owner took the liberty, which he shouldn't have, he slaughtered it right away. So then it's mutabana, and now you might think that he has to pay shloshim shalevet. Kamash malan, the town doesn't pay shloshim shalevet. Now the table is shtalamine, kamash malan, all about ktalahu, afagav l'shachte lo l'shtalamine. You might think that since it's worth money, so you should pay for it. The mei shloshim shalevet, kamash malan. So what do the words say? Since the shore is really chayiv misa, because if we know what would have happened if he would have. They'd have the din Torah afterwards, and it comes out that he did kill the Eved. But maybe there's no purpose to have it in Torah anymore. We know there's going to be there anyway. But if he would have gone, if they would have had the verdict, it is Chayiv Misa. So even it's
I didn't know
interesting.
that was a Torah. I thought the Torah was soil that he's a tarif, he doesn't have to pay.
Kamash Malan, that there's nothing to pay from. That's kind of interesting. Why does the Gemara not say? The Gemara should have said that. What was the kasha? That of course it's part because nothing to pay from. So I'll just
say Balashana. Right. Say Balashana. Anyway, we wouldn't have to pay. Tshuva.
the case where he does have what to pay from.
Torah tells him that
He doesn't have to pay. And the Gemara says, you know why he's part because there's nothing to pay from. Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it says. It doesn't say because I'm not worth anything. The taka the meat is worth. The mazik, the owner of the shore, is going to take it home and eat it. What happened over here? The shore down.
Only the shores this is still before the Zardin.
It is no exact. I mean, what did they do? Again, the shore killed an eved, and the owner right away slaughtered it with a good hechsher. He got a good hechsher on the shchita, and now he wants to eat the meat. So does it become? And now what happens? They bring the police come, they kill the eved, and go to court. What happened? And they taka killed the eved, and it's a tam. Show Yisakil? No, it's supposed to be Show Yisakil, but you're not going to explain because he's already dead. He's already dead. So what's there to talk about?
And it's never.
And the evidence is dead, and the shore is dead. The shore is now the shore is meat, and now you want to know what is best to come and eat. They bring him to court. They schlep him to court. What happens in the court? What are you talking about?
Shloshim Shalevet.
Shloshim shalevet.
So you say, I can't pay you. Listen, there's no money left. So you say, what do you
mean? The older meat is there.
Again, I want my Shloshim Shalevet.
And the pasuk says that you put there. That's what the pasuk came to say. That the Baal Shanaki was Shloshim shalevet. So what does it say? And the Gemara says, you know why you don't pay? So the Dain's going to say you put there. Why you put there? Since the shore is chayiv misa, even though you chapped the rind and you shechted it before, you don't have to. You can't get paid from it. That's a very fancy way of saying that the Torah says that it's part of Shloshim Shalevet. That's what Pinchas is asking. That all these words are out of place. It should have said Kamash Malan that he's Pater Shloshim Shalav.
And once it's Zardin, does the Isser revert?
No, they
You
can't make.
continue
No, it's not
with-
going to right. It's not going to make the meat also now. Right. It's not going to make the meat also now because Bezin's going to pass it now. They'll have to say before somebody else if it was after the Gemara.
Once it's done, then you could keep it all.
Mhm. So that's interesting. These words are very interesting.
That's the move.
Why does the Gemara say Kamash Malan that Balashanaki from Shloshim Shalevet? But what they want.
Anyone want to do that? Pay the shloshim and slaughter the cow right away? Why would you?
Why would he slaughter the cow?
No, you slaughter the cow and pay shloshim.
Everyone would do it.
Yes, I mean,
Everyone would have tried to evade the inter.
Again,
Who's gonna wait
again.
around until they pass him on his show that it should be a show on his call? The second he knows that they're
Yeah.
gonna take it to court, he's gonna run it.
and
What does he gain? He gains that there's I don't have to change that. Look at the change that they'll slaughter it, and a regular
What's
show
all
in
we-
what's my regular show in this go? That's Pater from the Chatzi Kofer, the same thing. The mice is Pater from Chatzi Kofer, and he's gonna. It's wrong. It's probably wrong to shecht it. You're not supposed to. But if he's gonna shecht
there's
it
no
before the
punishment.
Gemara din, so then it's not going to become Maser Bana, and what? And there's no Kofer. You got out of it.
Everyone should do it. So it could be that he thinks that his show is not a show on his call. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't this. It's not what happened.
And if he does it, it's an avera. I mean, it's called an avera. Not everything's punishable by Bezdin then. But the Gemara is really interested in the fact that Rabbi Kiva attacked Rabbi Eliezer, and he didn't have any problem himself. That's what the Gemara wants to know. And the Gemara said a pshat. So what are we looking for? Where is there a possibility to pay all these payments if you Gufo is stone it and that's Hasabana, there's nothing to pay from. So Rabbi Kiva attacked Rabbi Eliezer, and he himself didn't attack himself. Why didn't he attack himself? Because he had a pshat. He had a case where it's not going to be Hasabana because he slaughtered it before the verdict. So then why does he have Tanis and Rabbi Eliezer? It goes back and forth. If you had a good shot, then you shouldn't have Tanis and Rabbi Eliezer. If you don't have a shot, so then you catch it on yourself also. And let's take this off. This is a kasha we have to put in parentheses about why does the Gemara say this reason. But the Gemara continues back on Rabbi Akiva. If you're happy with the upshot, so why are you attacking Rabbi Eliezer shot? So why did Rabbi Akiva have Tanis and Rabbi Eliezer? How could you say Chatzi Kofer? Of course, there's no Chatzi Kofer. There's nothing to pay from because we go for Zasabana. He should have said the same terrace. In the case, he shouldn't have had the problem like Rabbi Eliezer. He should have said the same thing he said for himself. That in a case where it's worth money because he slaughtered it before the verdict. Hachinami. It's true. Rabbi Kiva knew that Rabbi Eliezer wasn't in a pickle. He knew that the simple answer of Kodem B'Shachto. So Sova Dil Mislei Tamachmin the other behind the name of he thought maybe Rabbi Eliezer is not a pshat. Rabbi Kiva didn't really mean to attack him. He meant to say I have a pshat, and you were saying I said Chatzi B'Shloshim Shalav. You and now I hear that you're saying Kofer. Do you have a pshat how it's going to be worth money? I have a pshat. He didn't talk about it. He has a pshat in his pocket. That's going to be in a case where he shechted it before the verdict. But he attacked Rabbi Eliezer just to put on a show to see if he's going to have a better teretz. Maybe he has a better teretz. That'll be good for you, but good for me. Is your teretz any better than mine? And really, and Rabbi Eliezer didn't have a better teretz. What teretz did he have? He did say a teretz. He did say a teretz. Yeah. It's going to be a better terrace. He did talk, but the king wanted to know if he has a better terrace. Yes, he has a better terrace. What was a better terrace? Cases where it's not going to be chayiv misa because the animal wanted to kill an animal, wanted to kill a goy, he wanted to kill an ephel. What was the other one? That was a big fish. What was the small fish over there? We had also a small fish. In case technicalities where you're not going to, where the shore is not going to become aser ban, you're not going to stone it. And the chiddush is a pater from kofer. Okay, so Rabbi Kiva asked the kasha because he thought maybe Eliezer has a better terrace. I got a better terrace, and this better terrace is good for Rabbi Kiva also. His case is Shloshim Shalom, but he also could use his terrace. All the cases, and he killed the heaven.
So then you have to give the Shloshim Shalom. Oh no, you would have to give the Shloshim
Shalom. But
Shalom.
Kamash is part of Shloshim Shalom. But now the one's just wondering why did Rabbi Eliezer not say the same terrace as Rabbi Kiva? That was Rabbi Kiva had it in his pocket. Rabbi Eliezer not be listening like Kodem V'Shachto. Why didn't Rabbi Eliezer say the status of Rabbi Akiva that you invented? This was an invention that the Gemara put into the words of Rabbi Akiva. Who said this, by the way? Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yitzchak. Maybe we'll put him into a little highlighting. That was his teretz.
The kasha is really not.
It could have been a long time ago. It had nothing to do with the fact that we found Rabbi Akiva now. We could have said more to him yesterday.
Kasha on Shmuel Bar Yitzchak now, not a kasha on Kiva, right?
that if you say this from Rabbi Kiva, so why did Rabbi Lezer not use that teretz? Yesterday we had two teretz of Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer, like he had a first one, a second one, a big fish, a small fish, and I think what the Gemara calls. He caught a big fish, he caught a small fish. But the Gemara said, why does Rabbi Lezer not say this teretz? Why doesn't he say this teretz? He says it's not a good teretz. It's that this teretz is not a good teretz. And although the similar cases that the Shor didn't want to kill somebody's, he didn't want to kill a human, he just wanted to kill an animal or a goy or a nefel. In those cases, the Shor who klal that the Shor is not really chayv, he didn't do such a bad thing. He didn't mean to do something which would have made him chayv misa. Over there, what? There's a real big tzad to say that you'd have to use the meat. He's not really not chayiv skila. It's not that the chamin and the chayiv. Over there, you might think that you chayiv and you have to pay the kofar because the shore is really worth. There's no chayiv skila at all, and the shore is mamish. You can work with it. It's not asabar no. Everything's fine. Over there, you think that if there's a chayiv kofar, so then you should have to pay chatzi kofar from the meat. But over here, avalacha the meikar baktala who have a lo yitzarach kura afagav the shachtei. That is pressure to the Gemara that this swara is not a good swara. The fact that somebody, the owner, shechted it before the verdict is surely not a svara that you should be able to use the meat, even though the meat is not technically. I don't understand this svara. I don't know what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara, words of the Gemara are, even though technically the meat didn't become asabana because there was no verdict, since it's really chayiv misa and it's supposed to get sechila, it's supposed to be asabana, so you surely cannot demand that meat for payment. In other words, the Gemara just now slugged up this svara. Rav Shmuel Yitzchak said, "Keshekadav v'shachto, ma'od teim l'shtal minei kamash malon." This whole vaktalu avagav l'shtal l'shtal minei. This what Pinchas wanted to say. We shouldn't have said it before. Now the Gemara is saying that this svara is so pashut that you don't even need a kamash malon. There's no ma'od teima. This ma'od teima is wrong. This is pashut. That whole vaktalu, since it's supposed to be killed, even though the ma'isi you hopped out of it technically by shechting it before the verdict, it's also still pashut that you don't use it for payment.
But you explain the words of Kiva Nami Vivadei Hachiyu. Which words are you explaining now?
These words. There's no chiddush. And this is what Rabbi Kiva used as a kamash malan. These are the same exact words that you wanted to erase before.
Yeah.
But the Gemara didn't. We have it in the Gemara before. This is very much the same thing. Over there, there's a kamash. You have to have a pasuk. The Gemara said that you would have thought that you have to pay from the meat because it's mutabah. No, kamash malan not because really it's bar ketala. That's what the Gemara says here. That's such a pasuk svara. You wouldn't have needed a pasuk. There's no such havamina. You would have used the meat for the payment. It's pasuk even without a pasuk.
You're not supposed to have the meat. So how we're going to be mechayiv your payment if you didn't put it in? The halacha is I'll show you sukkah.
But he's looking at the mazik. You're eating the meat. He's eating a steak, and he's telling me
you should pay koifer.
He's eating
If you skip down, the halacha is that he's supposed to get skila, the short.
Right.
So of course the Torah is not mechayiv any piyuvim mamon pay.
If the
going to be more paying skila.
But why? No, why? Why does
do
it?
you want the Torah should say to you?
No. Again, why is it put from? Why put from koifer? Why? Why? Because it's worthless. But there's some cases where it's worth. In the case where you shafted it.
No, that's not all the case. Why? If they sell it, look it in.
He did look it in. Yes, he's allowed to sell. I mean, it's more there. He shafted it, and now it's no verdict on it anymore. And the meat is worth it, and he's making a barbecue. And the Yorshim of the dead man are looking at him eating the steak, and they say, "It's our steak. You owe us kofar."
So he's going to say, the Torah didn't put a fee of kosher on this steak.
Why not?
But I was a shpitzel matter, and I went and I wrote shofet before the Gemara. For sure, the Torah wasn't referring to this case. The Torah was referring to the halacha. So you can't tell me that the Torah is talking yes koifer and not koifer in this case. The Torah wouldn't be referring to this case. Not that therefore we call about so that's why it's potter. That's not the Torah. The Torah is not talking about it.
You explain the Gemara, you go against the Gemara.
It's our Torah, I forgot the shot thing. You don't need to put it to potter.
Because Meikar Baktalu.
Meaning that is a back to follow.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the Gemara saying, no?
that even though the svara is like, but it doesn't fit into the technical law. The technical law means
They're
that
saying the mice what happening is that they're watching read the state.
And
The Torah can't be talking about that.
because Torah talk about such crazy cases. Okay. And this, in other words, what this just happened is that he slugged up his hope shot. Well, his hope shot was to read. What?
So I thought he only explained why the blessed getting over. He really
Oh, no. Again, the Gemara said, why does not say so? Because he also that. And the Gemara is saying so partial that we keep also. That's the one.
next line.
The Gemara says this, what we just said now, is so true that the whole thing is off. At this point, Rav Shmuel Rav Yitzchak was just slugged up. There's no such havamina that in the case of Kadam B'Shachta that he would have to pay not Kofer and Ashlosh Mishalev. The whole thing is off. So back to the Kasha again. Let's make some pink over here, but that's the one's Kasha over here. The first top line. This is the Gemara's Kasha. Maybe Rabbi Kiva Nafshe. Let Rabbi Kiva say to himself, of course he doesn't pay Shlosh Mishalev. It's only Gufo. And this terrorist that the Gemara tried to invent is no good because no such havamina. So we're up to trying to find your two and we find now.
He's not a problem again. They're cute that the father Hey, I thought we go for it.
And the same cash that he had in Beleza. He thought Koifer says, what's the difference? A free man, a slave, there's no way to pay for it because the shore is Migupo and it's getting and it's Asabana. Ella Amir Abasi. This is the next test. Ella Abasi. I'm not about Shmieli, Omani Abbas Reb Chanina. The following terrace I heard from a big man, and his name is Abbas Reb Chanina. So this is going to be a terrace. Shot in Rabbi Kiva. Why Rabbi Kiva had to have a pasuk that states pasuk from Shoshim Shalevet, then it wasn't pasuk since it's Asabana. There's nothing to pay from. Sakidat Chamein the whole Bam Rabbi Kiva after Tam Shachava Ba'adam B'Shal B'Mos and Ezek Shalem B'Shal Namid Me'eved Me'aliyah. What's the whole kasha? Rabbi Kiva asked that Shor Tam is only Megufo, and since it's Chayiv Skila, so it's worthless, so there's nothing to pay. The Gemara says that's so simple that a Tam pays Megufo. A regular Tam pays Megufo. When a Tam that mazik animal, it pays Megufo. But if a Tam was mazik a human being, so Bekiva says that it pays Nezek Shalim. That means that it's not considered so Tamadik. A Tam is a chiluk only when it's mazik shor. But when it's mazik a person,
Maybe not such a time.
maybe not such a thing. Pays Nezek Shalom. So you might think also that it pays Me'aliyah. The pasuk does say a difference between the shor Tam and the shor muad by killing a person. That's what we're talking about right now.
Also, Balashanopi.
That it's talking about. It says a chiluk of a Tam and a muad by Adam, but by Nezek, Rabbi Kiva says it doesn't apply. Since you find Rabbi Kiva says by Nezek it doesn't apply to the din of Migufo, maybe by the din of Kofer also it won't apply. Since he killed a person, he didn't kill a shor, he killed this person. So maybe the same way that it says Nezek Shali, maybe it doesn't apply Me'aliyah either. Migufo, and it pays Me'aliyah. So that's now this also would apply to the shor Kofer also. But it happens to be only Rabbi Kiva. Means Rabbi Kiva has it in his own pocket. He's asking on Rabbi Eliezer because he knows Rabbi Eliezer doesn't hold like him. So yes, what are you going to do? Now Rabbi Kiva himself could have said the pshat.
Before two Slavim, there was the name of Kiru Nafshe, and then there was Iochiler Blezanami. So the second Slav, Iochiler Blezanami, we're not getting into that because the Blazer doesn't hold it. So but the first Kasha, the name of Kiru Nafshe, we're going to have an answer.
So it's interesting that when Rabbi Kiva attacked at this point, when Rabbi Kiva attacked Rabbi Eliezer, he could have said, "I'm attacking you, but I'm going to take your shoes. I'm going to say the pshat of Chatzi Kofer." He didn't have to change Chatzi Shlosh Mishalev. He could have stayed for Chatzi Kofer, but he didn't like Rabbi Eliezer because Yuli Shitascha that you hold that's Migufo, so I have nothing to talk about. But I hold that's Me'aliyah, so I have what to talk about. But let's see. At this point, the Gemara says that Rabbi Kiva didn't have the problem because he holds that a Tam's Mazik Adam pays Nezek Shalom and therefore Totu Ishu Vivei Me'aliyah. So that would be a reason how he could pay Shlosh Mishalev, even though it's Migufo, up, even though it's usually Migufo, it won't be Migufo, and it'll pay Me'aliyah. And therefore, because of Rahman Ba'al that he's put, even though it pays Me'aliyah, but he doesn't pay Chatzik Kofer. But the more rejects this, that's not true. Rabbi Kiva broke his fist. Literally, he broke his fist. What does it mean he broke his fist? He loosened his fist. That even though someone's very strong, he holds a tight fist. When it's not the full, Geziza is the fist.
Yeah.
No? I agree.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Which one?
Okay, fine.
I think Geziza is the fist. That Rabbi Kiva, what?
Loosened up a little.
Loosened up. That means even though Rabbi Kiva says that's Nezek Shalem, but it says beferish that it's not. Rashi has it over here. That even though it's not Nezek Shalem, even though it's Nezek Shalem, but it's not Nezek Shalem Aliyah. The full strength would have been Nezek Shalom Aliyah. That's like the full strength. He didn't give the full strength of a Muad to a Tam. Shechal Badam. He just says as far as Nezek Shalom, but as far as Migufo, it's still Migufo. The Tanya, Bakiva Omer, Yasalam Migufo. The Mishpat Hazeh Yasalam. Migufo Mishalim, then Mishalim Aliyah. That even though we're talking about a Tam Shechal Badam, I forgot the pasuk he's talking about, but it does pay only Migufo. So it's not true. What? Yes.
כמשפט הזה יוס אלוהי, לגמור את האחרס כמשפט הזה.
But it's a whole fancy drasha. It's talking about nezek, right? Nothing to do with the case of the Tusuk where he killed a kid. It's talking about nezek. Okay, it's a drasha, rochik manapshat. And the Gemara says, Rekiva himself, that he says that it's tam shechavel ba'adam pays nezek shalom. He doesn't go all the way and say nezek shalom in aliyah. Nezek shalom migufo. It's one of those fancy cases that it's nezek shalom migufo. So this true. This teres is not true. That even though Rekiva holds that it does pay nezek shalom, he doesn't hold that it's me'aliyah, it's migufo, and therefore the kash comes back all the way to the beginning of the page. Name Rabbi Kiva Lanavshe, that it's not going to pay only Migufo, and therefore what's the Havamina that he should pay Shloshim Shalevin. So we're still on the lookout, and now comes the next teretz, Ela Amar Rava. Next teretz. This is Rava now. It's true. You need a pasuk to say that he doesn't pay part of Shloshim Shalevin. It's true that usually he only pays Migufo, but here there might be a reason why he would have thought that it pays me Ali. Because killing an Eved has a chumrah more than killing a Ben Chorin. Sheben Chorin, Yapastel, Nos and Seva, Shloshim, Nos and Shloshim. By Ben Chorin, how much is Kofar? As much as the valuation, as much as the assessment of how much the man was worth as an Eved. But whatever he's worth. Four zuz, Shloshim. But Eved, Yapastel, Nos and Shloshim. Eved is always going to be Shloshim no matter what. It could be worth less, it could be worth more. So since there's a chumrah, the more I was looking at it as a chumrah, it could be a kula also sometimes, if the Eved's worth really more. But if it's a chumrah, there's a chumrah that the Evid is only worth 4 zuz, and you're going to pay seller, whatever it's slow, and you have to pay more. So therefore, you might think that as a chumrah, you pay me aliyah. Because that it doesn't have to pay. Well, again, what was the kasha? So this was the kasha only on the kofar, but not on the Evid. It means Rabbi Kiva, he has the kasha, good kasha on Rebbe Lezer. The what's the chiddush? You don't pay kofar. Of course, you don't pay kofar. There's no money to pay because it's migufa and it's worthless. Rabbi Kiva didn't have the kasha on himself. The shloshim shel Evid is how many you pay me aliyah because Evid has a chumrah over a ben chorin that you pay for it even more than his value. So maybe you pay me aliyah also. So the kamash from that you don't pay shloshim shel Evid. Tani kavod say the Bava, Bala Shanoki, Rabbi Kiva Omer Noki Midmei Evid. That's the words we had before, the bottom of the page. That doesn't pay shloshim shel Evid or half of that. Follow dinu hol v'chayiv Evid v'chayiv ben chorin. I didn't understand this. Pinchas told me. Chol v'chayiv Evid chayiv ben chorin. Mashik chayiv ben chorin. Kolakta rov in tam l'muad. Ak shechayiv Evid chanach l'rov in tam l'muad. What do those words mean?
Of course, it's going to be potter.
That's what the words mean because it pays me gufo. Or what? Then what? What's it saying?
But of course, that it should be different. But if a muad pays as a
what's by ben chorin? Doesn't pay kofar? It doesn't pay kofar? That's a given over here. That doesn't, but not a pasuk. Or okay, but that's how you don't need a pasuk. Both kavachomer, ma ben chorin shenosin kol shavyo chilak to levitam lemuad. Ebe shenosin el shloshim men adin shenach levitam lemuad. That on the contrary, Ben Chorin is more chomer because he has to pay for the full value. If the value is more than shloshim, but by Evid there's a kula that only pays shloshim, so surely it shouldn't have to pay shloshim shel Evid. So then it says in the price, no, not so. Nachniveni be'Evid yosem Ben Chorin sheben Chorin yafasel lenos and seller shloshim los and shloshim. Be'Evid yafasel lenos and shloshim. That on the contrary, Evid is more chomer than a Ben Chorin because he has to pay shloshim even if the Evid is not worth so much. So therefore, you might think that it pays me aliyah. I'm putting all this into the words. Yachli echayiv. To pay shloshim. What have we learned today? Another 2 possibilities in Naki Balashanaki that it says by Yitam. One is the basically Potter with Mevelados, which the Gemara Cheshbon comes out that the basically holds that a muad is chayv in the Mevelados. And whenever we're going to see Mishnayos that say that a Potter Ebed is Potter, a shore is Potter for the Mevelados, it's only Rabbi Akiva basically doesn't hold like that. Big Kiddush, and whenever we come to that, they always make a note. And this Kibbutz Pshat is that he's part of Shloshim Shalom. So to sum up all 4 Pshatim from yesterday and today, Abala Shanaki, one Pshat that means that it's cleaned out from even any kind of ana, even the Me'oro and things like that. And the other 3 Pshatim means that Abala Shanaki means exempt from what? exempt from Chatzi Kofer, exempt from Tmei Velados, and exempt from Shloshim Shalem. And we had a Gemara a couple of times that says that Yosef Lili holds that a time pays Chatzi Kofer. There's no such a Yosef Lili. It just says that Yosef Lili here doesn't hold up the Chalakim Chatzi Kofer, but it doesn't say anything on his own. The Gemara Cheshbon over there that Tarfin that says that Tam in the Chatzar on Nizik plays Kofer Shalem had to be based on some shita that holds that Tam pays Chatzi Kofer. The more blames it on Yosef Lili because he doesn't say before Shlokim Chatzi Kofer. That's the call.
Good thing.